Well, good morning, everybody. I wanted to let you know I'm celebrating a really special day today. Let me get this camera adjusted just a little bit here. Celebrating a really special day. It's my 36th wedding anniversary, and I am so tickled that my wife and I can celebrate 36 years together with 3 kids and 5 grandkids. I'm one of the luckiest guys on the face of the earth. Thanks everybody for joining. Let's see, there's Kong 185 that just joined. I appreciate you being here. Westwood Runner, thank you for being here. The subject today is my job's being eliminated, and we'll jump into that discussion in just a minute. Also, Bill Ross, looks like. Thank you so much for joining. JLC Me, I appreciate you for joining as well. Hi, it's nice to have you here this morning. Good morning, Austin, Texas. Nice to have you here. You know, if you guys would mind, just type in where you're from. It'd be kind of nice to see where people are chiming in from. Once again, let's see. All right, lost a job a couple of days ago. Oh, Kentucky, Minnesota. It's nice to have you here. Springfield, Missouri. And Trevon. Nice to have you here. Thanks for joining us today. The topic is my job's been eliminated, and you know, if we're going to talk a little bit, I'd like for this to be interactive. So, folks, if you're interested, Cincinnati, thanks, sir. I'm in Dayton. Actually in Miamisburg. Nice to have you, Cincinnati. Some of the things I got a text this morning or a tweet this morning from somebody that said for political reasons they found out that their job was ending, and what do I do? And you know, one of the first things that I thought is don't panic. You know, everybody has value, and if you can contribute to the, if you can keep your mind focused on delivering quality in every aspect of your job, be of benefit. You know, there's no telling if you like that job and you really and you want to keep it. There's a good chance that if you're helpful through a transition, that you can keep that job. But I don't think that you should really rely on the fact that you're going to have it. If rumors are beginning to surface that jobs are changing, maybe a company's bought your firm out, and you know, politically your job's being eliminated. First, do a great job. Continue. You don't want to leave on sour grapes. Next. I think that you ought to take a look at some other sources of revenue. For instance, if you have a hobby that you can turn into an income producing activity and get a paycheck, thanks for the heart, I appreciate that. That's always a good idea. I know that years ago, when I was a very young man, I learned a craft. I learned leather crafting. And there was a season in my life where I just figured out I didn't want to continue doing what I have always been doing. So I quit my 40-hour-a-week job, and I didn't do that though before I started getting some business from doing my craft, whether it was making belts or making wallets or doing whatever. Now that turned out to be great. To this day, I have people approaching me to make things for them. That isn't my major source of income, but it certainly helped bridge that gap. So, number one, whenever your job is being threatened, first of all, don't panic. Second of all, hello Russia, it's nice to have you here. Second of all, you need to continue doing your job with excellence. You know, and the off chance that you may be one of the people that are spared. The third thing that I would recommend that you do is to find out skills and abilities or hobbies, things that you can turn into an income that you really enjoy doing that can bridge that gap. The next thing I would encourage you to do is to get involved in a proactive job search. Now, I don't mean going into the job boards and searching for the next position, because, you know, your chances are like rolling the dice on the job boards a lot of times. You never know if you're going to get called, and you never know how long that type of a search is going to be taking. You know, I mean, gosh, you could be responding to ads and spending a lot of time, and the average ad that you respond to takes 45 minutes to an hour and a half to even reply to, and then to never get a response, that's kind of frustrating. So when I speak of a proactive job search, that isn't the kind of job search that I'm talking about. Sergi Malibu, hello, nice to have you here. Do you guys have any questions about, you know, in specific things that you would like to know about? Now, a proactive job search whenever your job's being eliminated means start firing up those networks. Contact everybody that you know. Whether it's relatives and friends, you start making an exhaustive list of everybody that you know, where they work, what their phone numbers are, what their email addresses are, and begin connecting with them. Don't come across desperate. Remember, if you come across with desperation, people are going to be afraid to refer you. Home-based business is an excellent way to go. What about unemployment for someone who just lost their job? If it is, in most states, if it's through no fault of your own, you can collect unemployment for a short time if you're losing your job. And I made the mistake years ago of not applying for unemployment compensation when my family was young. And let's see, here's another question. I'm afraid that I won't make enough from that to pay my mortgage. You probably won't to start, if you're going into a hobby or something like that, but it may help bridge the gap. Unemployment may help bridge the gap. If you can, then what I would recommend is to start that hobby up and get a little bit of income going. Now, whenever you're looking at changing jobs, your proactive job search needs to be pulling your network together, recognizing that hiding in a corner and not facing the fact that change is coming is going to kill you. And a lot of times our first reaction is shame, or we're afraid to let people know that we're in a transition. People that you're around that are your family, your friends that are supportive of you, they're gonna want to help any way they can, but you can't come across desperate. You have to come across confident. There's a change coming down the pipe. I'd like to see what's available inside your company, or I'm going through a transition. Just keep me in mind if something comes across that seems to be a good match for me. Here is what I enjoy doing. Here's what I'm best at doing. And begin calling your family, your friends, whether it's at your church or your synagogue or your mosque, or if you are in a civic organization where you volunteer, you never know who's working beside you. So many of those people serve on boards of directors, or they're executives in other companies, or perhaps they're working in a firm that's expanding. If you aren't letting people know that you're looking for another position, they're never going to know. They're never going to know how to refer you. So I really encourage you, get that network active. Make people aware that you're changing positions, so you don't have to come across as broken. Come across confidently. Now, and a targeted job search, really identify the things that you enjoy doing the most and the things that you're best at. TM Pav joined. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you. Our topic today is my job's being eliminated. What the heck do I do? So if you would like some additional information, you can go over to www.jobsearchthatworks.com. I have a lot of free resources there that can guide you through the job search process and help give you some great ideas. There's a podcast if you prefer listening, or you can read some of my blog. Now, do you have any questions, any other specific questions that I can address here on the Scope before we disconnect? Once again, I wanted to remind you, it's a special day for me. It's really packed. It's my 36th wedding anniversary. So I'm going to make things a little brief today, and I'm going to move on to some things that are going to make the evening exciting for my wife. So any other job-related questions, maybe job transition questions coming across? Thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate it very much. Best lady in the world. I told her this morning that 36 more years wouldn't be enough. Any other questions that you have before we say so long for today, and we'll continue tomorrow? It says, I'm thinking about selling everything and moving away to start my own business. Thoughts? I love the thought of starting your own business. Thanks for the congrats. I appreciate that. I love entrepreneurs. I've been one for years and years and years, and I really enjoy that freedom. One thing I would recommend is that if you can at all possible, stash up enough money to where you can make a living for about 6 months, and so that you'll have the funds necessary to make that transition. But I want you to know that today is the easiest entry point into owning your own business that I've ever seen. With all the tools that you have on the internet, I think it's a great thing to consider if you want to move into your own business. There's a podcast I would recommend you listening to. It's Pat Flynn's Smart Passive Income if you're really interested in starting your own business. It's smartpassiveincome.com. He's terrific. I listen to every podcast he produces because they're just people from all walks of life and all kinds of businesses, and they talk about how they got started, their frustrations, and so forth. Should I cold contact companies without knowing someone there or responding to a specific job post? You know, if you know a job post is there or a job's there, that's fine. But most of the time, those job postings are really geared around somebody else they're interested in bringing on staff, and they just need to interview 2 or 3 more people to perform their due diligence. And what sadly happens so many times, they wind up hiring the person they knew internally rather than hiring somebody off of the job boards. So your objective is to be that person that they write that job description about. And that requires you going directly to the company and finding somebody. I think the best person is the person that would be your boss or your boss's boss. It's going to require you to do a little bit of investigation behind the scenes, go through LinkedIn and figure out who that person would be, and you may not be able to make contact with that individual initially, but you can contact someone else that could refer you to someone else, that could refer you to someone else, and finally get a hold of that person that does the hiring. And I'm not talking about human resources either. Human resources, unfortunately, tends to be a roadblock. A hiring manager, the person that manages the people that do the job you want to do, that's who I would contact. You could pick up the phone and call them, tell them, I'm in a transition. I need some help. I need some advice. Can I buy you a cup of coffee? And so oftentimes, they'll be more than willing to help you out. And while you're on it, they may not go to coffee with you, but they may say, I've got 5 minutes right now. What can I do for you? And by the end of the conversation, they may be falling in love with what you do. They have some ideas that are beginning to be generated, and perhaps they can refer you to other individuals that they know are hiring, and perhaps you might be a candidate for a position they have in their firm. So I say cold call into the company once you know the name of somebody and try to strike up that conversation. It may take you several weeks to finally get to the person you want to get to, but if it's in a company that you love, that you'd love to work for, if it's doing something that you thoroughly enjoy doing, it is worth your time. You are worth taking the time to make those contacts. So that's the way I coach people. And if you want to see testimonials on how effective that type of job search is, go over to the success stories page on jobsearchthatworks.com, and you'll be able to see some of the success stories where people have done a non-traditional job search. People that have really had an amazing amount of success as a result of just thinking outside the box and doing things differently than other people do. Thank you so much for the hearts there. Are there any other questions before I sign off for the day? Hopefully that can be helpful. And again, my website is www.jobsearchthatworks.com. The success stories are there. The tools are there. If you listen to the podcasts, I even have a career portal on the first 14 podcasts that I give away free of charge for you to be able to get access. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Thank you so much for joining. And I am doing this every morning. I have one final question. If you just type in there, is this a good time? Is 11 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning a good time for you to get these tips, or do you prefer another time during the day? If you want to shoot me a quick email to answer that question, you can, or you can type it here. It's ray@jobsearchthatworks.com. That's how you can get a hold of me. This is a good time? Great. All right. That sounds wonderful. Now, I'm glad it was random. Hopefully it was helpful to you. And I'm going to be doing it every morning around 10:30-ish. And if you'll just go ahead and, say you want to follow me, then you'll get a notification when I'm on again. Thanks again, folks. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful day, and I'm going to go celebrate my anniversary. Take care. See you later. Was this episode helpful? If you know you need to shift your career into high gear and just can't find the time to jump through all the hoops that HR puts you through, if you've sent out hundreds of resumes with no response, or maybe you've had an interview or two and you aren't getting called back for the next step, you're in the right place. So click here to subscribe to this channel, and then go over to jobsearchthatworks.com for lots of free career advice in my podcast and my blog. While you're there, sign up for my mailing list to receive additional job search tools you can take immediate action on. Do it today and I'll show you how this hiring game really works. It's your future. Take charge of it.